Good afternoon, everybody. Happy Memorial Day, and welcome back to another edition of Roman's Italian Kitchen. Today's been a great day. I got a lot of spring cleaning done. The kitchen is totally in order. We have lots of ingredients to work with, and what I want to walk you through is the preparation of a traditional Italian gravy. This gravy I'm going to show you. I've shot a couple of videos, bits and pieces of the gravy, and I got a lot of feedback from people that said, we want to know how to make the whole thing. So I'm going to walk you through that. This recipe comes from my mother straight to me, and it came from my grandmother to her, and from my great grandmother to my grandmother. The recipe is over 100 years old, and this is the traditional Italian gravy directly from Italy. So watch this, enjoy it, and you'll be able to make this anytime. I typically make it twice a week, Wednesday and Sunday, just like Mom used to. So enjoy the video, and please give me some feedback. Let me know what you think, all right? All right, so we're at my prep station in the kitchen, and my mother always, I want to go over the ingredients with you first. You're gonna want to start with, the first thing you need is Calavita extra virgin olive oil. This is perfect. This is the perfect start for your gravy. This is gonna go in the pot first, okay? And the second ingredients that'll go in are some white onion and garlic, okay? And that's gonna be the very beginning of the gravy. After that, after the onions and the garlic caramelize a little bit in the extra virgin olive oil, then we're gonna add crushed tomatoes, okay? And to thicken this gravy, we're gonna use some tomato paste, okay? 1 can of tomato paste. I'm going to throw in, I'm not making this gravy for a traditional pasta. I would typically put this with rotini, but I didn't make rotini this morning. I made pastina. So I'm actually going to use the gravy with pastina. And pastina, for those of you who don't know, looks like this. This is pastina. It is very, very tiny. Look, that's pasta. Very, very little tiny beads of pasta. And it should come out like this, nice and al dente and fluffy. See how fluffy it is? Like rice. It should have the consistency of rice or couscous, similar to couscous, and it's delicious. You could put butter, salt, and pepper on this, and have it for breakfast with eggs, anything like that. But today, because I have so much of it, I'm gonna have it with the traditional Italian gravy. So let's dice some onions. This one's already started, so I'm gonna start one for you. You peel the onion, you cut it in half, you put it on one side, and you chop straight down. Okay? Just like that. I'm gonna move you over to the stove. I want to show you something. Okay, for your gravy, you're going to want a nice big pot like this, okay? And the very first thing you want to do is, you don't want to put it on high. You don't want this on a high heat. We want to put this on about 3 or 4 just to get it fired up. But I'm going to reduce that heat before I throw in the onions and the garlic, because garlic burns very easily in oil and it'll turn brown, and the bitterness will really come out of it. So we don't want to do that. We want the delicious, savory taste of the garlic to run throughout the oil. We don't want that burnt garlic taste. So the first thing we're going to do is coat that pot with the Calavita extra virgin olive oil, which is right here. And I'm going to give you a very precise measurement. We want about that much oil at the bottom of the pan. And that's it, just like that. So we just put about, 10 to 15 blubs You know, when you pour the oil out, you can hear it. It's got this funny spout, so it goes blah, 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 blah. So you want about 15 of those in a pot that size. That looks like about 13, so I'm gonna put a few more. All right. Let me get you back over to the prep station, but before we do, while the oil's heating up, I've been heating up this pan because we have to brown our meats. No oil. Don't put oil in this. Just plain pan. I like to brown the meats separately because beef and sweet Italian sausage, they brown at a different rate of time. So I do them separately. You don't have to. You could just take it out, you know, when you feel like it's brown enough. I like a nice bark when I'm browning the meats. By browning the meats, what we're doing is we're sealing the juices into the meat so that when you eat the gravy, the meats are tender and juicy, and also you're keeping the juices from seeping out into the gravy and tainting it. Okay, so it's really serves two purposes to brown the meats. All right, so first we're going to brown the meats. We got the oil warming up. Let's get you back over to the prep station. We'll do some prep stuff. Okay, so remember we've sliced our onion in this direction. You can see the slices there. Okay, we want to keep it together. All right, and now you're going to cut perpendicular to those slices. All right, very nicely, just like this. When you get to the end, it does get a little tricky to hold it together. The onion will probably fall all over the place. It's okay. It's all right. Just make sure your counter's clean and you'll be okay. So that's it, really. Look at this, though. Look at this. Look at how nicely that dices. Just like that. It makes it so simple to do it that way, right? So just push that aside a little bit. Grab the other half of onion, right? And we're going to do the same thing. This one I already sliced. Right? You can chop it like this after a little bit. I don't like to make them too small because then they'll disintegrate, and these diced onion are going to give the sauce, they're not only going to sweeten it and draw some of the acidity out of it, but they're also going to give it a nice thick texture. That's what these diced onion chunks do. You get that nice thickness to the sauce. So we got our onion. Next, let me show you how to do garlic. Let me give you a little better position here. All right. So garlic can be kind of messy. You know, it's got that flaky skin. So what I do is I keep it right in the bag, right? And what I do is I break a clove. For example, I've got a whole bundle of garlic right here. And what I do is I've been using this one. I break a clove off of that. I'm going to break off two. I'm going to use two, right? So I've got 2 garlic cloves right here, right? But look at this. Watch this. Right in the bag. Right here in the bag. Okay? I'm going to take one of these garlic cloves and I'm going to smush it with this knife. Inside, in the bag. Watch this. Smush. I'll do the other one too. Smush. Watch what happens. The skin comes right off. See that? The skin just, look at that. It's off. And then I just leave it in the bag so it doesn't go all over the place. I just leave it right there. It's not going to hurt anything, believe me. I leave it right in the bag. Look at that. Done. Clean garlic cloves. 2 of them. All right, so just like an onion, we want to chop off the little brown nubs on each end of the garlic clove, just like the onion. Wow, that onion's making my eyes water. Okay, so we got our brown nubs off of there. Now I take the rest of the garlic and I put it away. And look, I don't have a huge, catastrophe of all this on the kitchen counter. So we'll just throw that back in the fridge. I tell you, I really love making this gravy. I really do. And I love talking about it too, because it's really it was really a tradition in my family. I grew up eating this every week with my mom, my dad, and my brother down in Westport, Connecticut. And then at Christmas time and holidays, we would go back to Brooklyn, and all my relatives are there, and what's on the table, is Aunt Linda's 7 seafoods, and there's the homemade gravy. So this is really special for me. So I'm really happy to share it with you. Okay, so we've got this onion here. Now our oil should be pretty well going. So I'm gonna take the onion and dump it in there because I don't have much of a cutting board left, and I gotta chop that garlic. So I'm gonna take this onion and I'm gonna drop it in that pot with the oil. Oh, that's good. It sizzles. It sizzles when it hits. I always put the onion in first because it takes a little bit longer to caramelize and it doesn't burn as easy as the garlic. So I don't have to watch it so closely. Once the garlic is in, you kind of wanna be there, because I don't want that garlic to burn. I don't want that garlic to burn. All right. So I'm gonna throw the rest of this onion in there. I'm gonna give it a quick stir. That's it. I'm gonna reduce the heat down to 2.5, just to make sure, because I've got my back to the stove right now, and I don't want my onion to burn either, just in case. All right, so let's chop this garlic. So garlic, it's so tiny you can really chop it any way you want. What I like to do is you've got a length and you've got the short side. So I put it the long way and I chop it like that. Okay, so what you end up with are slivers like that. Okay, so I spread them out to show you, but you really want to keep them together, because after you make your slivers, you're going to turn them perpendicular, okay, and you're going to chop it the other way. Just like that. See, one got away, but that's okay. We're gonna chop him too. All right. I'm gonna show you on the next piece of garlic. I'm gonna show you how easy it is to do that cool, fast chopping. So you can do it too. It's really not difficult. It's a lot easier than it looks. Really. So for now, I'm just going to set this aside right here, so I have the whole cutting board to show you. All right. So once again, we cut lengthwise our slivers. Here's what I'm doing. You never cut with your fingertips out, because you run the risk of chopping your finger. Okay. What you do is you curl your fingers back and you put the knife. See that? It's right along this part of your finger. It's right along this. And it goes up and down that. See that? I can't cut my finger that way, right? I can't chop my finger off, okay? And that's what I do. So I curl my fingers under, and you use your thumb to push this to the knife. I'm pushing this piece to the knife, okay? And I'm gonna do it slow this time. See that? You just have to be careful at the end that you don't push your thumb through and chop the tip of your thumb off. That's the only part you got to be careful of. So then we turn it and we repeat the process. I learned how to cut like that over 20 years ago, and I can honestly say I've never cut my finger with a knife chopping vegetables or anything for that matter. I did cut myself open really bad once with a meat slicer. You know, the big meat slicer like this, but I was cleaning it. I was very young. I was cleaning it and it was running and I had the blade exposed. And yeah, it was bad. I didn't have experience back then. I was 16 years old, so you're talking 28 years ago. In any case, so we've got our garlic chopped. Let's go over and add. All right, so our meats are browning really nicely. I'm actually going to flip those pieces of beef. This is chuck beef, by the way. You'll know what you're looking for because it has a vein running through it. I'm going to show it to you. We'll use this. And remember, we're not cooking the beef here. We're just browning it. All right? Let me show you. Do you see that white vein going through the meat? That's a fatty vein going through. That's the chuck beef that you want to put in your gravy. And we're not cooking this beef right now. We're just browning it. All right? We're going to cook it in the gravy. All right. So, you know what? I'm going to give that garlic one more quick chop right here. Just to make it nice and fine. You want the garlic to be fine. You don't want to hit a big chunk of garlic in the gravy when you're eating it. I mean, personally, I don't mind, to be honest with you, but you don't want to serve that to other people because it could be offensive almost. That powerful of a flavor. So we throw that right in. We throw that right in with the Calavita extra virgin olive oil and the onion. We're browning our meats. We're well underway here. All right, I'm going to stir that in. I'm going to turn the heat up a little bit. I went from 2.5 to about 3.5. You know what? I'll put it on 4. I'll put it on 4. Let's live dangerous. We'll go to 4. All right. So, now my mom, when she taught me how to make this gravy, this was really it for the beginning. I have refined it a little bit for myself. Don't tell my mom. Hopefully she doesn't see this video because I'll get, one of those. But I put a little bit of salt and pepper in with the garlic, onion, and extra virgin olive oil, which I'm going to do right now. Not a lot, just a little bit of salt. That one's empty. I think I might have to open a new one. And a little bit of pepper. I don't know, I throw this in here. It's very aromatic. It smells great. And I feel like it gives just a little added flavor to the gravy in the finish. And again, not too much, just a little dash of salt, a little pepper, and that's it. That's it. We'll get that going. Okay. Now, while this gravy here, while this caramelizes, while the onions and the garlic caramelize, the next process for the meat preparation is resting. You have to rest the meats because when you heat up meat, the juices get forced to the exterior of the meat, right? When you take it off the heat and you let it rest for about 10 to 15 minutes, those juices draw back into the center of the meat, okay? And that's what makes your meat juicy, okay? So that's what I'm just about to do with the beef here. And the way to rest the meat is very simple. My mother did this through my whole childhood. I watched her do this. The styrofoam pad that the meat came on, I'm just gonna rinse it and bring it back and put the meat on. That's it, right? So we don't have to dirty another dish. And these are nice and browned. Look at that. See that? It's got a nice brown bark on the outside to hold in the juice, right? So I'm going to put this piece of beef like this. I'm going to put this one here. And I'm going to put that one there. The time is 1:56. So at about 2:10, 2:15, 2:20, I can put those meats in the gravy. Okay, let me give you a view of this. I'm gonna put you like in the pot right now. I want you to see the onion and the garlic, what it should look like. Okay, so turn it towards the light. Can you see that? There you go. Okay, that's what it should look like. See how it's just kind of a pale light yellow. You don't want it to turn brown because then you're burning it, and that ruins the flavor of the gravy. Trust me. Trust me when I tell you. That'll ruin it. All right, so next on deck, sweet Italian sausage. Throw it right in the pot. No oil, you don't need anything. You don't need anything in there, just the meat. And just like the beef, I'm gonna rinse my styrofoam pad and bring it back over to rest the meat. That's not going to be for a little while. Okay? So we're going to brown those up. Let's take a break for a minute. We'll be back. Okay, we're still browning the meats. The sausage is a little trickier, of course, than the beef because the beef only has two sides. So you brown one side, you flip it over, you brown the other side, and you're done. The trick to browning the sausage is this. You keep the sausage close together, okay? And you brown one side, and then when you flip them, you keep them tight together like this. And what happens is they cook each other as they heat up, so that all the sides get browned. And that's it. That's the trick to browning the sausage. All right, so the sausage looks like it browned up nicely. We're right there. So we're just going to take those out and put them in this styrofoam tray and let those rest. And that's that. Now, while those are resting, we're going to go to the next phase of the gravy. I already opened these up. This is the crushed tomatoes, all right? I have 2 cans. Now the way to do this without getting it everywhere, let me see if I can get you a little better view. There we go. All right, so I'll pull it over here too. There, you can see that pretty good. My mom taught me this also. You take the can and you put it in the pot and then tip it down. So you don't, in other words, you don't pour it from way outside the pot. You go right down in it. And that way you don't get a splatter and it goes everywhere. It just keeps it neat. Okay? All right. So once those crushed tomatoes are in there, we're going to stir it really nice. You want to mix everything up. You want to mix everything up. Oh, it's really beautiful. It looks really beautiful. Now we're going to add something else right now as well. Mom, if Mom's watching the video right now, she thinks I forgot, but I didn't. I want to show you. Look. So in your crushed tomato can, there's a lot of residual crushed tomato left over. Okay, look at that. See, on each can, it coats it. So what I do is, I'm going to show you how to do this. All right, so you bring your tomato cans over to the sink. You run the water. You take the can and you just turn it while you rinse the side of the can down. See that? All the crushed tomatoes come off the side of the can, just like that. And what you end up with is about this much water in the can. We actually want a little more than that. About a quarter can of water. And then we're going to take that and put it right in the gravy. So that way you don't waste any crushed tomato. And at the same time, you add the required amount of water to your gravy that keeps the consistency thick while you cook it for the time that you need to cook it for. All right. We got the crushed tomatoes in with the diced onions, the garlic, the extra virgin olive oil. Our meats have been resting for a good, well, the sausages have been resting only for about 10 minutes, but the beef is definitely ready, so we're going to give it a few more with the sausage. I'm ready to show you the secret ingredient to the gravy. All right, here it is. That's it. Basil. A lot of it. I take the top right off. And I pour a pile of basil in the pot. Let me show you. Let me pop this right out. I'll just keep it running. There it is. The basil. The basil gives it the taste, that tang, that tanginess. All right? All right. Pop you back in place here. All right. And then you just stir it in. Everything you do with the gravy, do it gently. Do it gently and slowly, because if you try to do things fast, you're going to make a mess of yourself and your kitchen and everything else. Ask my mom. She'll tell you. That's what I used to do. All right, so we stir in the basil. We'll let the meat rest for another 5 minutes. We'll let the gravy heat up and start to simmer. I moved the pot. You can see I moved the pot to the front burner. Just a little easier access, better view for you. I'm going to turn it up to about 4. And around this time, if you want, which I'm going to do, I throw a cover on there. Not all the way. You see how I put it on? That is tight and holding everything. You don't want that. You could do it in the beginning to heat it up and get it going. We'll leave it on. But once you're cooking your gravy, you don't want that top on there all the way, because it really contains the heat, and it creates too much heat. And if the gravy gets too hot, it doesn't have this is a slow process. Don't try to make this gravy in an hour, 20 minutes. Don't try to do that. It's not how it works. This is a slow cooked gravy. The preparation of it takes about 20 minutes, 30 minutes to chop everything and get it going, right? And add the meats. That takes about a half hour. But the cooking process after that is 2.5 hours minimum, okay? It's not a fast process, and you cannot speed it up by increasing the heat. It doesn't work like that. It's not that type of cooking. It's got to be done slowly, all right? So stick around. We'll be back to add the meats. Okay, it's ready to add the meats to the gravy. And just like pouring the crushed tomatoes in, you do it very gingerly. You take the meats and you just lay them right in there. Don't drop them in, because it'll splatter. And that's it. That is it. So just a little recap. Extra virgin olive oil, diced onions, minced garlic, minced fresh garlic, okay? Put that in, let it caramelize. Add your crushed tomatoes, add your basil. All that is happening while you're browning your meats. Once the meats are browned, let them rest. Let them rest 15, 20 minutes. Just let it happen. Let the juices draw back into the center. Then add them to your gravy. Cover. Reduce the heat to like 2. And that's it. Just go relax. Watch the game. All right, we'll be back. One more thing. Sometimes accidents happen. Sometimes you can make up for it, sometimes you can't. See what I forgot, right? I didn't add the tomato paste. The tomato paste is very important. It also gives a tangy flavor to the gravy, and it thickens it. So you don't want to leave this out. But luckily, I take out all the ingredients I need beforehand. So I did forget to put it in, but I was over at the kitchen prep area, and I saw the can sitting there, and I said, let me tell them what I forgot. Hey guys, so it's 3:35, so the gravy has been cooking for about an hour and 10 minutes now. And I just came in and I was stirring it, and I thought, I wanted to just show you that it's really easy. The meats are kind of heavy, but they're not fragile yet, so you can push them around pretty good at this stage of the game, about an hour into it. And that's about it. You want to stir it though. You want to keep stirring it. This is like, I stirred it 3 times. 3 times. This is the 3rd time. So you want to do that though, so that because the heat gets trapped actually at the bottom of the gravy in the pot. The heat gets trapped, and the gravy can burn to the bottom of the pot. So that's why you want to keep it moving. Even I only have it on 1, even at a very low heat, that can happen. So just a little warning, and that's it. Next time we come back, I'm going to show you what I do with the gravy when I'm finished. It's not necessarily what you're going to do, but I'll tell you how to serve and prepare the finish. All right? All right, I'm sure you can see the lighting in here is slowly changing. Almost another full hour has passed by. It's 4:20 now. We started at around 2:15, 2:10. And the last time we checked in, I think it was 3:30. So I'm going to check her again. The gravy's looking really good. I wish you guys could smell this. It's the only thing I hate about shooting videos, is that you can't smell it. A friend of mine and I talked about it once, coming out with some type of operating system called Smell-O-Vision, where not only could you see what I'm cooking, but it could transmit the steam into the phone and project it out on the other end. Yeah, it's an out there idea, but we're looking pretty good. The meats are still pretty tough, so they're taking a while to soften up, but that's okay. They're definitely going to get soft, I assure you that. Happens every time. It's interesting. Sometimes it takes longer than others. I've seen the meats fall apart in an hour and 45 minutes, and I've literally had to make the gravy sometimes 3, 4, 4.5 hours, and that's when they start to get tender. But it always happens. It's inevitable. Check in with you in about 45 minutes. All right, guys. It's 4:55, so we've basically been cooking the gravy now for 3 hours, and this is the time where I like to check it. I like to check the meat, and I have a special test that I do for that. I'm going to show you. I try to get a big fat serving spoon, like this one. Not a serving spoon, but a tablespoon. A big fat one like this, right? With a nice big thick edge. Not typically something you would cut meat with, but if I can cut the meat with this, we're good. The gravy's finished. That's my little test. So we get a little plate. lid off. We'll dig right in here. We'll get a piece of beef. Try to grab a thick piece of beef, because if the thick one's done, the thinner ones are done as well. If you grab a thin one and it's finished, the thick one might not be ready yet, and you're stopping too early. But for the most part, this is gonna stay like this, so you'll see. I'll show you. So we take our spoon and give it a shot. Well, there you have it. I just cut steak with a tablespoon. So we throw that right back in there. So that means our gravy is finished. You might be asking yourself, why did I not check the sausage? Because the sausage always is done before the beef. So if the beef is finished, the sausage is finished. All right, so we're all set. Now we're gonna move on to the next phase. I did something in the meantime. I want to show you what I did. You remember the pastina, right? So I got a little bit bored, during the 3-hour wait for the gravy. So what I did was I diced some bell peppers, red, yellow, and green, and I put them in with the pastina to give it some color, because you eat with your eyes first. Everybody eats with their eyes first. What you look at, if it's nice, colorful, bright, that's very appealing to the palate. Also, I chopped sclafani olives and pepperoncini peppers as well, and I threw that in there. About 8 of each, threw it in there, which is not a lot for that much pastina. It's just going to give it a little bit of vinegary flavor for the, those are pepperoncini peppers are pickled peppers. Some people call them yellow peppers, some people call them banana peppers. They're pepperoncini peppers. All right, so let me show you what my plans are for this. Now, when your gravy is done and you're serving it, yours is going to look like this. Here's how you're going to want to present the gravy. First, we're going to put the pasta in the bowl, okay? Real Italians eat pasta out of bowls, people, okay? Not plates, all right? So there it is. Put some pasta in the bowl, all right? Then you get a piece of the beef. That's what I was looking for, this previously cut piece. So I'm gonna put that little piece in there. And that's the piece that I chopped it off of. So we'll take that, right? Now, although I can cut it with a spoon, I don't want to make things difficult on myself. So I'm gonna take out a fork and knife, right? It's so tender. Look at how tender that is. No, really, I really don't need the knife, but I want to make this easy and quick to show you. Okay, so we're gonna chop up some of the beef like that. Okay, it's really tender. Okay, once we chop that up, we're gonna plate that. Right, a little bit of beef. Okay, grab one of these beautiful sausages. Well, let me show you the sausage. Can you see it? Here you go. Watch this. This is the sausage. This is the spoon. Look how I cut the sausage. right through the skin and everything. Isn't that beautiful? So tender and juicy. All right. So we just take that and we're going to plate that up too. All right. And of course, last but not least, certainly not least, the gravy. So we're going to put some gravy on here. All right. Look at that. So absolutely beautiful. All right. Now, traditional Italian, style, you're gonna want some nice grated Parmesan. Don't get this. Don't use this. Go to the local Italian deli and get some nice Parmigiano Reggiano, right, with the crystals in it. Get yourself a cheese grater and fresh, right off the block. Don't use this. I use this because it's fast, easy, and convenient. Don't use this. Right? That's it. And there you go, guys. That's the whole process for traditional Italian gravy, straight from Italy, straight from the town of Caggiano. So enjoy. Thank you for watching Roman's Italian Kitchen. Listen, if you're serving other people, if you're not making, this is all for me. Nobody's eating this but me. I'm going to eat it throughout the whole week. Okay, this is my lunch every day for the whole week at work. So it's just for me. If I was cooking for somebody else, a guest, whatever rule you're breaking right now of social distancing, gloves, face mask, shield when you're handling the food. Please, be safe. We're in this together. Let's do it.